Welcome everybody to another Pick a Card tarot reading. Today's reading is looking at what goddesses or goddess guides have a message or messages for you and what sort of guidance would they like to give you. So we're going to look at a couple of goddesses, or as I say, goddess related guides that might be watching over you at the moment and have messages for you. See what those messages are and see whether they're connected or whether they're separate, and what the overarching sense of their guidance for you is now. So as with all pick a card readings, the important thing is to tune into the right deck, the right pile of cards for your reading, though you are more than welcome to go to more than one if you feel drawn to more than one. You may have a number of goddess guides around you at the moment with a number of messages. So if you do feel drawn that way, by all means do that. To help you with your choice, we have a jade crystal on pile 1, an amethyst crystal on pile 2, and a clear quartz crystal on pile 3. Just tune into the decks and see which one draws you the most, or more than one, as I said before. If you're not sure at this point, then pause the video and contemplate till you are. And when you know which reading you want to go to, the timestamps, as always, will be in the description box below, and I'll see you there. Welcome, pile 1. These two cards are the goddess or goddess guide energy cards that are around your reading, and you have both a goddess in Kuan Yin and also a guide or spiritual energy coming to you as well, which is the storyteller. So it's interesting here. One of the things that immediately jumps out is that many of the people who've come to this reading may be embarking upon or in a very significant love relationship, and there may be some discussion or some communication that is necessary, either to really bring that to what it could be or to take the narrative of that relationship energy forward. And the reason that I say that is that the storyteller guide energy is about telling your story. It connects to the throat chakra, it connects to speaking your truth, and that could be done in a creative, musical, as this character has, way, or just in speaking and communicating with someone that is really important to you. Kuan Yin is the goddess of love, compassion and unity. Her card in this deck relates to the tarot card of the Lovers. So there is a direct connection around relationship in this. It doesn't have to be a love relationship, but this card often comes up when there is a soul connection. And to me, there is maybe a connection between the two of these to suggest that the Kuan Yin in particular is with you, and this guiding energy is with you to navigate the communication, to make something beautiful and caring and unconditional between you and this other person. If that doesn't resonate and you're not in a relationship, or you're in one and it's going fine and it doesn't need any issues, there may be other relationships around you where compassion and unity are helpful and where good communication is helpful. Or it may be that some of my pile 1 are people who are meant to be creative, meant to be storytellers in their actual lives. And in that case, Kuan Yin is also a goddess of blessings. And so that combination could be saying that the Kuan Yin is with you to give that blessing and that guidance and that support while you create something, bring something beautiful into the world. And Kuan Yin is also a goddess that is about abundance and helping us on our right spiritual path. So it would suggest in that case that you're very much on the right spiritual path if you're looking about communicating your truth in some way. Excuse me. So there's something there, either in terms of the very gentle energy of Kuan Yin and supportive energy of Kuan Yin. She chose not to go to heaven. She chose to stay and help humanity. So she is the epitome in many ways of generosity, kindness and unconditional love. So she's there guiding you to make sure whatever is related to what you need to communicate, whatever truth you need to speak, whatever connection you need to make, is made in the best way. When the throat chakra comes up, it would also suggest to think about if you have any indications that you're blocking your communication. You probably noticed I coughed a little while ago. That sometimes happens when I'm doing readings where the throat chakra is important, and I think it's showing that for some of the people who've come to this reading, there's a bit of a blockage there. So Kuan Yin is with you to help release that, because you have something beautiful to bring to the world. It's something, and whether it is creative or whether it is just the expression of love you have with another person or with people more generally, Kuan Yin is here to support you doing that. So I do think that there is a connection between the two, though for some of you it may be both. You may be a highly creative person and you may be connecting around a relationship or around compassion and caring for others. But those two cards feel so strongly connected in as much as unconditional love, connection with humans and so forth is so much enhanced by really good communication. So I think there is a connection, but what we will do is we will use tarot and we will pull some cards for each of these, and that may tell us whether these are connected or whether in fact we're talking about two different guidance energies for you, pile one. So it does look to me as though for some of my pile one, there is some conflict that you are in, and it could be around relationships because we have the Three of Moons, which in this pack is like the Three of Cups reversed. So that would suggest possibly around friendships or possibly in a love relationship. There has been some conflict, some discord in some way because the Five of Swords is there. Now the Five of Swords normally is relatively minor conflict, but it can be there and it can build if it isn't addressed. So the best way to use the Five of Swords is to move out of that, to take what is still working, what is still viable, what is still strong, and leave behind what hasn't worked. So whether this is in a creative project you have where maybe you've worked with other people and there's been some difference of creative design, or whether it's in a relationship that you're in and there's been some difference of opinion around the nature of the relationship, this is saying that you can still take something out of that and move forward, but there is a decision that needs to be made and you've been concerned about making that decision. You do know that you need to connect with others because the Nine of Stars is like the Nine of Pentacles. So it's all about, when it's the right way up, it's about going your own way and just doing your own thing. But with it reversed, you know that you need to connect with others. So this is either about a love relationship, as I said, and that love relationship is important to you. And it is something, and there's a lot of indication over here that it's a very good relationship if it is about a relationship. But it could also be about collaboration with others. So I do get the sense with this that for some of my pile one, it might be about something creative or something where you've needed to work with a team and there has been some conflict. But there is a decision you can make, and it might be just about balancing alternative views. One of the things about this card, particularly with the way that you see a musician in it, musicians are all about harmony. They're all about balance. They're all about finding the perfect notes to bring the melody together. So I suspect that part of this is saying to you, you will be the one who is most likely to be able to work out the way to sort through this issue and make a decision to take something forward. So if this is picking up for my pile one something in terms of working with a team or with others, you are likely to be the person to lead the group out of it, lead the group to where you can move from the Five of Swords to the Six of Swords, which is a more peaceful transition into the future. But you do have to own that you need to work with others. There's something here that says you do need to be with others. It's not as though you would pick up your swords and leave the battlefield altogether and leave the whole thing behind. And you might have been considering whether you were going to do that. But I think that Spirit is saying, no, there is something here, and you are in fact a leader within this because of your capacity for harmony and for your communication skills when you unleash them. Over here, we have definitely a sense about a decision around a relationship. So decisions are very strong for you at the moment. You are very much in the driver's seat. That's what these goddess energies are telling you, that you are able to make the key decisions. But the fact that we have the sun and the moon together in a connection to Kuan Yin and that sense of relationship, love, compassion is extraordinarily powerful, because sun and the moon together is the ultimate alchemical symbol. It is the sense of the creative fire and energy of the sun with the emotional compassion and empathy and depth of the moon. They're kind of the celestial married couple, in a sense, if you can think about it. Interestingly enough, they are connected, but they're always separate. So there may be a message here about making the decision to bring that almost into conjunction. So when the sun and the moon are conjunct in an astrology chart, particularly if it's in what they call a composite chart, which looks at two people's natal charts brought together to look at the nature of their relationship, that is an incredibly powerful sign around a connection between people and the sort of spiritual purpose behind it. But it again is saying you're the person who is in the best position to recognize this and make the decisions around it, because we have the Queen of Wands, and this, I think, is you standing in your power and standing in who you are, in a sense of great confidence around what you do. It's also very creatively confident. So I think there is a connection between the two of these. If there isn't a relationship around you, then whatever you're doing creatively is profound. But I do think for many there is a relationship. If you haven't come across that yet, it's coming into your life. And Kuan Yin, I think, wants you to know that this is a very special relationship. This is one which is worth the decisions and the effort. This is one that is worth, if it's picking up here, finding out what's different. Think again about the fact that the sun and the moon are almost like opposites as well. So it's probably a bit like opposites attracting, but it's the complementary level of that. That's why it's worth it, but it probably will take a little bit to bring it into being. It's the sun and the moon together, to me, around a relationship is similar in intensity to when I see the tower in a relationship reading, but it's gentler. So I think it is very much saying that there is a significant relationship for many of the people who've come here. Some of you, it might be around creativity. It might be. But I do think for many there's a significant relationship that's more romantic. It does not preclude, however, that you may not be in a creative or a communication field in some way, and you are very well developed in that. That's why you can work out how to go forward and lead it. But you do need to recognise, see, the Queen of Wands is so confident that she could sometimes feel, I can do all this on my own, I can be on my own, I'm self-actualised and I'm happy in myself. And it's a sort of counterintuitive thing in a way, that it's when you get to that point, when you get to the point where you are self-actualized and you are confident about yourself, that you are best able then to work with others, because you are able to lead from that, because you're not coming from ego, you're coming from the truth, and you're coming from the beauty of the connection and the compassion of the connection. So I think Kuan Yin is with you to bring in a very beneficial energy, but she is relying on your communication skills and your sense of confidence to help with that. So one of the things that I wanted to build into this was a couple of cards around healing. Now, I don't think you need a lot of healing by the looks of things. I think that you are, as I say, quite self-actualized, and I think that's not the key message here. However, there is some healing around either communication or being with other people, and even being happy to be with other people. It may be that some of my pile one people have gone through things in their life that have made you feel you have to stand on your own, that really at the end of the day that's how you're strongest. But you do know on some level that there's something in your life at the moment that needs that connection. So we will pull a couple of cards to look at what could be healed in your life at the moment to help really unleash the guidance and the energy, in particular from Kuan Yin here for you, pile one. Okay, so as I said, I wondered whether to some degree this sense of being the Queen of Wands and this sense of normally I think liking to be a lone operator, but now having to connect, because whatever you're trying to do or the relationship that you have in store for you requires you to be able to come out of the cave, so to speak, might have been connected to something from your childhood or some pattern like that, or previous relationships. And it's interesting, we've got the inner child. So I think that This is coming up for a couple of reasons, pile one. I think firstly it's coming up because there is some wounding in you from that. And maybe it's even speaking your truth about some of that, because that brings an enormous compassion for others. And if you are doing something that is creative, for instance, it may well be that bringing that energy to it creates something that people can really respond to and is very compassionate to the world. It helps you heal, but it also helps the world heal to some degree. But if it's around relationship, then it's owning the fact that you are more than worthy of love and that you don't need to be on your own. And I think it's Kuan Yin is the perfect goddess to be helping in that part of the journey. What this is saying is don't delay, don't sit and just wait to see what happens. You are meant to be the leader. This is what this is saying. And maybe again, you've been used to letting other people call the shots in some way, because you've sort of said, I will just move with the flow and I'm strong in myself. And that's very true in many ways, but it also means that sometimes you delay getting what you really want to nourish you in your life. And so don't delay on this. If there is still some conflict around the scenario that you're in, work out the way to balance that and be the leader. Own your Queen of Wands energy. Own who you are, because you're far more powerful possibly than you're giving yourself credit for. So let's have a look with another oracle for any further guidance that Kuan Yin and the storyteller wants to bring to you, so that you can bring about this rather extraordinary promise, I think, that is in this reading for you. And this oracle could pick up some astrology, it could pick up timing, it could pick up other personalities that are involved or other personality traits that you have. So we'll just see what else Kuan Yin wants to say to you. Okay, so it's interesting, firstly, that innocence came up with the inner child. There is something very pure about you, and that's part of the reason that a goddess like Kuan Yin is with you, I think, pile one. There is something pure, something innocent under everything, and that innocence does not mean naivety. I don't feel that you're naive at all. In fact, you've probably learned a lot, and it may be part of what is creating that block and making you procrastinate, because you know that there are risks associated with the connections and moving forward and even speaking your truth. You're very well aware of that, but you come from a very pure place. You come from a very pure heart. And I think Kuan Yin is saying you don't need to lose that. It's more about finding these right connections. And I think for many of you, as I say, it's actually a soulmate, twin flame connection, something but intense, but very powerful in a gentle way. There's a real gentleness around this for you, and you won't need to lose that. And if you're feeling like you've got a protective shell around it, you won't need to have that once you move forward. This is ebullience. This is enjoying life. This is saying, you know what? I've been dealing with conflict and issues. Now I'm going to really enjoy who I am, and I'm going to enjoy working with people, and I'm going to enjoy the difference, and I'm going to enjoy love. There's just a sense of really great energy coming for you. And in the middle, there's Scorpio. Now, you could be Scorpio. You could have Scorpio strongly in your chart. Sun, moon, ascendant, many planets. You may or may not know your chart. You don't have to be Scorpio. It could be that the other person, if this is a love relationship, has Scorpio strongly. But if it's not that, or if you don't know the chart of the other person, Scorpio is a sign that goes deep. It's a very psychic sign, so this suggests that you would be channeling when you are telling your story. It's going to be about you personally, but it's also something bigger than that. And if you are connecting with another person in a relationship, as I say, there's that soul connection. It's also a sign that is careful and keeps its counsel until it's ready to speak. I know of an astrologer who says if someone has moon in Scorpio, for instance, it's very hard to get any information out of them. They really keep things to themselves. So I think this may be picking up this now, and it might be saying choose when you do and don't speak, but don't not speak, because that's what it looks like. It looks like you have a story to tell, or you have a connection to make, and you've been hesitating, possibly because of wounding before, and you're looking after your heart. And I think that Kuan Yin is saying certainly it's sensible to decide who to talk to and who to be open with, but it is time for you to talk. It is time for you to tell your truth, because it is profound, it is deep, and it will touch a lot of people if it's creative, and it will touch a lot of people, including a potential lover, if it's more just around how you deal with other people. So I know that we had Scorpio there, so we've got a bit of astrology energy, but I wanted to finish off with just a little bit more around astrology for the kind of astrological energy that might be around you at the moment, and Kuan Yin and the storyteller might want you to know about. Okay, so firstly we've got Venus over here. It's very much connecting to this love relationship. I do think most of you, if you haven't met someone, you're going to very soon. There's a very profound relationship around you. And if you are in a relationship, then as I say, it's profound. It may need some adjustment because you could be quite different, but it is very profound. The Venus is also the Empress in Tarot, so there is a sense of nurturing and creativity there. It could be literally creativity, or it could be having a child, something like that. So some of you may be at that point in a relationship. And then again, if you've got Venus with the Sun and the Moon around that, that is incredibly well aspected, incredibly powerful and beautiful energy for having a child, if that is something that you are hoping to do. And having Kuan Yin watching over that is a beautiful energy. So that's fantastic. It is saying with all of that love, and that love is coming to you, you are going through a major transformation. And we've got Scorpio here, and then Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, fell on top of it. Pluto is about major change. So it's about revolutions within. It's about getting to that depth. It is, the tarot card that's associated with it is Judgment. So there are decisions you need to make, and procrastination. The thing about the Judgment card in tarot, I always say, is it's usually decisions that you need to make so that the opportunity of the decision does not pass by. So I use the example of someone who may decide that they want to go and work overseas, and it may be that if they don't do it by a particular age, then they can't because of the rules around it, for instance. So there is a time clock on something. There is a time clock on something for you that particularly the storyteller wants you to think about. And then we have the waxing crescent moon, which is about setting your intentions. So again, it's the structure of it. It's bringing that out, talking with people, but it is about self-assurance and self-confidence. It's picking up the energy of the Queen of Wands. And the tarot card that's associated with it is the High Priestess. So again, that sense that you're channeling stuff, both from the area of communication and the divine, and also from Kuan Yin in terms of guiding you towards something that's for your highest good, and particularly your love nature and your emotional nature. So Pile 1, I think that this is an incredibly beneficial time you're coming into. Kuan Yin is always a sign of something like that. She is an incredibly beneficent goddess, and the storyteller is all about you having that opportunity to speak your truth, sing your song, tell your story. But there's a very strong love energy about this as well too. So if it's not a love relationship you're in, there's something about love and something about empathy and caring that is what you will be taking forward. And you are a natural leader within the groups that you're with, so own that. Don't procrastinate, don't hold off on making the decisions that are necessary to move something forward. So I hope that that resonated for you, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you have any comments, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome Pile 2 to your reading. These were the two cards that were under the crystal that you chose to come to the reading, and they are the two goddess energies that are wanting to communicate and bring messages to you now and watch over you now. And these are pretty powerful, and they look like they're in two separate areas, so there is always the potential that the two areas will connect. So let me go through them one at a time. Firstly, you have Rhiannon, and Rhiannon is a shapeshifter. She is called the White Witch. She is very, very psychically attuned, very much able to move in and out of who she is and what her energy is. And she is a muse. She is a muse to creative artists. She is a muse to musicians, to any kind of inspiration. She's a connection directly to the moon, with the waxing gibbous moon talked about there. And she is very, very spiritually vibrant and unusual. There is something about you that is a bit fey. There is something about you that is a little bit of more than one dimension. You can almost move between dimensions, and as I say, some of you may literally have a kind of almost shape-shifting ability. You may be able to mold yourself into different environments, different situations, and have that kind of flow and flexibility to not be, you may well be the stranger in a strange land, but not to come across that way, to be able to commune with others and to be able to inspire others. It could also be that Rhiannon is coming to you as a muse, if you are a creative person, to bring you that energy and channel you that energy, so that, and you will be very, very much, you're like an open door spiritually to get that kind of inspiration. So if you're a creative person, she is with you for that. But I think for some of you, she's also with you to find a way to move between different worlds almost, or different requirements of the world that you're in at the moment. Some of you may be in contested areas in terms of your career or around your friendships and so forth, and she gives you that flexibility and that support to deal with it. And one of the reasons why I think that there could be for some of you a contested area is because you also have Freya with you, and Freya is a warrior. She is a warrior goddess. She is all about your power and your determination to see things through. She's a goddess who takes the warriors with her after battle, or at least some of them, and then others go to Odin, to Valhalla, but she brings some with her. She has a group of people around her who are prepared to take the fight forward. She has a chariot that is driven by cats, interestingly enough. So some of you may well be a cat person or connect very much with the feline, and that also gives me a kind of a connection between these two, because there's something about cats that are very flexible and can move with what is necessary in the world, and very intelligent, very, very clear-sighted cats, and they stand on their own. Cats do what cats want to do, and there is a degree with Freya there that you would do that as well too. So I think some of you, there's a connection between these two, where there is maybe a cause that you are fighting for, whether it's a social justice cause, a cause at your work, whether it's something with your friends, whatever it might be. There's a sense that you have a mission. You're on a bit of a mission, and you're able to move in and out of what is necessary to bring that mission about, and to appear as you need to appear, to whoever you need to appear that way. So I do feel for most of you, these goddesses are with you for some sort of cause, or some sort of project that you're working on at the moment, or some sort of battle that you might be in the most extreme levels. But it could be that they're disconnected, and one, for some of you, it's about creativity, and over here it is about standing in your own power and your truth and being determined and seeing it through. So let's have a look and see what tarot gives us in terms of information from each of these goddesses that they want to bring to you at the moment. Pile 2. Okay, so you're definitely a warrior in whatever field this is, and I think there is a lot about philosophy associated with it. A lot of what you channel and a lot of what creates that capacity to shape shift and be the muse for people is a very sharp, fast intellect. You really see the connections of things, you really understand them, and you can articulate them incredibly well, very, very quickly. There's an uprush of energy that comes to you that probably feels like thought, that feels like philosophy, but it's actually something that you're channeling. It comes literally from the stars. I think some of you are connected, like potentially to other planetary tribes and so forth. There is a sense that you are connected to the stars. There's a celestial energy around you, part 2. And you stand very strongly in that. You're very aware of that. The Queen of Swords, I feel, is working at her most proficient and her most positive here. I think that you channel information and you create it into something that will fit the environment that you're in. The Queen of Swords understands things on a really minute, intricate level. You really get the surroundings. You'd be the sort of person who went into a group in a room and you could really tell within about 2 or 3 minutes, if that, what was really going on, what the dynamics were. It's interesting. It feels quite empathic, but it's processed intellectually. And then you may be out of this, I think, create something, because the Page of Wands is there. Now, it could be creating a resolution in a conflict situation. It could be literally writing contracts, doing things in the legal area coming out of that, or it could be something creative. But there is a celestial connection to this. You are operating on another level entirely to most people. And Rhiannon is there to inspire you in that, whether it's in a very creative muse like poetry, singing, writing, artwork, or whether it is political or organisational or legal. I think many of you, it does pick up those more pragmatic and philosophical areas. If you are in academia, you're exceptionally talented in academia. Again, you probably can research something so quickly, you can get to the heart of something so quickly that it kind of leaves other people in awe. But this is your capacity to move between ideas, to move between environments, and to shapeshift, as I say, in a kind of very real way. So I think she's there with you, and I think there's something, whether it is a resolution to something in the most pragmatic way or whether it's something creative, that she wants to see you give birth to. She wants to see you bring it forward. She wants to see the inspiration and the hope around that really come to its full flowering. And so she's with you at the moment to guide you with that. With many of you, it is going to be connected to something that has to do with justice. Now, it doesn't have to be literally legal. It could be just social justice, as I say. It could be fairness around the people that you're with, in your family, your friends. But there's something around your capacity to look at what's going on and make very quick judgments and decisions about what is going on. And Freya is there to make you feel strong enough to do it, because there is some competition around you. It's either that the organisation you're in, if it's around your career, is a highly competitive one, or there are people who really have very strong feelings about whatever's going on, and there's a lot of energy around that. With the Seven of Wands, you have everything you need to win in that competition. You just need to recognise it and go with it. I think for some of you, you are trying to decide whether or not something is worth seeing through, because the Eight of Stars, which is like the Eight of Pentacles, is reversed. It suggests that you're thinking certain things that you've been working on or certain causes that you've been doing are maybe not giving the return that you want. And we have the full moon here reversed, and the full moon is an additional card in this pack, and it talks about completing things and then starting something new. So part of the decision you need to make at the moment, because that's reversed, is it time to walk away from something, or do you need to do one more battle? And your judgment will be very acute. I think Freya would not take somebody into a battle that the outcome was not worthwhile. So I think you are channeling information from Rhiannon, and Freya is then going to give you the fortitude to make whatever decision you make. It is a decision you need to make fairly quickly, because judgment is always about decisions that need to be made fairly quickly. But I have no doubt you'll be able to do that. With the Queen of Swords, your mind works very, very fast. So these goddesses are with you to make a determination about something that you've been working on. And for some of you, it will be creative, but I think for many of you, it's something around justice, around politics, around conflict, something in that sort of area. And it really is the return on investment what you need it to be. My sense is for most that Freya is here saying that you have what you need to do the battle, and it probably is. But as I say, there is no warrior goddess or anybody that would be into sort of military or strategic stuff that would ever say to fight a battle that is not worth the outcome. So I think this information coming to you and this strength will allow you to make that assessment. So one of the oracle decks that I wanted to look at was healing energy, to see what needs to be healed. You don't come across really as someone who needs a lot of healing, but it might be looking at healing of whatever this issue is that you're trying to do. So we'll ask specifically for these goddesses to guide this oracle choice for a couple of cards for what could be healed in this situation, and help you make that decision about where you put your energy and what is a good cause and what is potentially one not worth it. Okay, so it's doubling down on courage, and I think that's picking up Freya here and the Seven of Wands. So I think that they're saying that if your main worry is whether you can win this battle, you can win it. You can. You have a very clear idea of it. Sometimes when someone has a really clear idea of something strategically, it can almost stop them from going forward. There's a degree to which having a little bit unknown it propels you to act. So it might be saying that courage is important here, to have the courage to really make the decision, to have the courage to act if you decide you need to. This is also saying cycles. I think what is being said for most of my pile too is that whatever this issue is an issue you're going to come up with against quite often. There is something in your life purpose which is about bringing clarity and inspiration to issues that are about balance and are about justice in one form or another. And so this is one of a number of cycles. And my feeling around this is that if you let this one go, then another like it is going to come. So I think it is about, I don't think that the goddesses are saying that there's anything wrong with that. You could decide, really, this one is not going to be the thing to propel my cause forward, but another is going to come. This is part of your life path, to channel all this information and this incredible capacity you have to be who you need to be with the people that you're with to bring about a good outcome. And then the courage and the strength to have the battle. That's part of the cycles of your life. So I don't think that they are saying you have to do it. I think the choice is for you, but understanding that this is part of your life purpose. So that's pretty full on, pile two. So let's look at another oracle just for a little bit more advice from the goddesses. And this could pick up personality traits, more energy around the situation, astrology. It's a fairly broad-ranging deck, but we'll just see what else the goddesses want to tell you. Okay, so the first one is the eye, and it has a serpent in it. And so it's like, be wise as serpents. The eye is looking at things with that wisdom, and it's interesting it came over this side. I think it is very much supporting that you will have the wisdom to make the right decision. But I think it's also saying, although we had judgment under here, and that means you need to do fairly quickly, to still back yourself that you take the time you need, because you're still going to be thinking this through faster than the average person. So you have a little bit more time up your sleeve than maybe someone else would have in this scenario. And there is probably more to learn with the eye there. There's something that needs to be really sussed out to make the right decision. It does look like Freya and Rhiannon are saying that something in this needs to be let go, whether it's the whole thing with those, and it could be, or whether it is just part of it. There is some decay in this situation. There is something that is not reaching its potential. So if it is conflict in a workplace, for instance, that it is causing problems. So it needs to be resolved in one way, or, as I say, potentially moved away from, because that's already starting to set in. And there is solace here. So there is a sense that you have to be prepared to take on where not everything can be salvaged. Because you have the star here, remember, you have a high degree of ethics, and you have a very strong moral compass. And sometimes when things aren't able to be won, you do have to allow yourself to mourn that and understand that these are cycles, and the next battle will come and you will have learnt from it. But I do think this is saying that although you need to really look into things, the rot has already started in whatever this situation is. So you will need to use that very fast mind to work out whether this is something you can turn around or not. So let's finish up with some astrological energy for you around this scenario and what the goddesses are here to help you with. Okay, so firstly, we have the fourth house, and that connects to the planet, the moon. So there's a lot of psychic energy, which doesn't surprise me with Rhiannon there. But the fourth house is also about your foundations. It can be literally in your home. Some of you, this could be saying, might be looking at the people that you're living with and whether or not that is going to work and whether you're with the right people. That is possible for some of you. I think for most of you, though, this is more about who you are at the base level of your personality and what is true to you, and that's got to be your guiding star for this. The fourth house in your astrology chart is really who you are at a base level. In some ways, if you know your chart, it's more who you really are than your sun sign, because your sun is, unless you have the sun in the fourth house, your sun is the life path you're moving towards, whereas the fourth house is who you are at home, literally. So some of this, I think, is Freya and Rhiannon saying to you, part of that decision is, will you feel at home in this situation or not? If you could win this battle, will you feel at home in the situation? If you won't, or if you have to shape shift too much and lose too much of who you are, is that a compromise that's worth making? And the very interesting thing there is that we've got Sagittarius and Capricorn, and they almost provide opposites. So this is picking up your flexibility where you can really mirror and become whatever you're around. Sagittarius is all about freedom, and it's about fire energy, and it's about getting on with things. It picks up the warrior energy, all of that sort of thing. Capricorn is all about the stability and the earthing of things and the longer term. So, and it's the commitment side. So for some of you, this is about what you do or don't commit to. This is about, and I think it's about, it comes back to Rhiannon, it's about what do you, in being able to shape shift and fit in with your environment, do you lose too much of yourself to win this battle and to make the commitment that seems to be here? Or do you in fact always keep who you are at a base as your North Star, and Sagittarius just allows you to make the change? So I think that Freya and Rhiannon are saying, because this is a collective reading, so it's going to depend on each person's situation, that's the choice. It's, can you balance your innate freedom and flexibility with a sense of stability? Is this scenario that we're looking at, whatever it is, worth making it part of who you are at home in a broader level, not just literally at home? Or is it a battle you move away from because there are other cycles coming through where your courage and your ability and your intellect will be better served? So it's pretty full on for you, I would have to say, pile 2, but I think you're really getting the guidance, and you certainly have the courage and the ability to do this. But I do think you've got some interesting and complex decisions to make, and they really do, at its base level, come down to what will be true to you in the end with this. That's your guiding star for this. So I hope that resonated for you. I hope it makes sense for the world that you're in at the moment, and it was helpful guidance from the goddesses who are with you at the moment. If so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you do have any comments about how this is resonating, I'd be fascinated to hear about it in the comments below. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3. These 2 cards were under the crystal that you chose to come to the reading, and they're the 2 goddess energies that are watching over you at the moment. And they may well be here for the same reason, bringing different blessings and guidance, or they may be for different situations entirely. So we will see as we go through the reading. But I do think there is a potential connection between these right from the start, because the first card you have is Fortuna. She is the goddess really of fate, of the changing cycles of life. She would be well acquainted with the Wheel of Fortune type of energy from the tarot deck. So this is a card that comes when there's change coming. It's about your fortune one way or the other, and it can be either negative or positive depending upon your outlook, as this card says, depending upon the other circumstances in your life and how you approach the change. So there is a change coming for you. It could be an incredibly fortunate one. It could be one that there is very little reason to even contemplate whether it's good or bad, but it could also be something that is a bit more neutral or something more challenging. But Fortuna is with you to help guide you through that change and to help guide you towards the most positive outlook for that change, so that you get whatever is meant to come to you in terms of spiritual and life development out of the change. So something is coming. If you may already know what it is. There could have been very recently in your life a major change that's occurred. It tends to be one that you can't foresee. So if something surprising has just happened in your life, you'll immediately go, okay, I know why Fortuna is with me. But if not, something's coming. But it's not, I'm not saying it to panic. I don't think there is any particular reason to panic. We'll see. Well, I never think there's a reason to panic, because this is always about guidance, and these goddesses are with you to help you through this. But I think that it may be something that is, if it's a bit like the Tower energy also potentially in the tarot, the Tower energy works really positively when you go with the change, because it's really about clearing things out and putting you on a path that's even better for you. So understanding fortune in that way is a really positive way of doing it. And I think that you are naturally attuned to doing that, because the other goddess who's with you is Athena. And Athena is probably the wisest goddess in the Greek or Roman pantheon. She is really about wisdom. She's about strategy. She's about clarity. It's very much a mind, intellect related energy, but it is the capacity to look at things and understand them in the broader context and to bring wisdom to it. So I think that whatever this change is, whether it's good and the wisdom is about how to really expand and make that exponential, or whether it's something more challenging and you need the wisdom to navigate it, these goddesses are with you to try and bring the best possible outcome. So let's have a look with tarot about a bit more information about what each of these goddesses are bringing to the table for you, pile 3. Okay, so I do think that it's more likely to be challenging than not, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's terrible. But I think that there is definitely some energy here that suggests that there's drama around it with the Ten of Swords there. The thing about the sword cards, when you get to 8, 9 and 10 in the suit, it always looks really quite difficult, but it's because we can catastrophize. We can imagine something as being much worse than it is. Now, that may be part of what Athena is bringing to this, to make sure that you don't do that, that you understand there's a certain amount of drama around this that is overblown, that it's not, you are more than able to take whatever comes from this and create something that is true to your heart and make the decisions that you need to make to do that and make the changes that you need to make in your life. But it does look to me as though for some of my pile 3, you may be moving away from a relationship. Now, it could be a love relationship, it could be a friendship, it could even be relationships around work and so forth. It could be any of those things, because we've got the Lovers reversed here and we've got the Three of Wands reversed. And the Lovers is not always about romance. So this doesn't necessarily mean that you're breaking up with someone in a romantic sense. You might be. This energy could be that. But it could also be that friends, because Three of Wands is often about people who initially appear to be on the same path and have the same vision. When it's reversed, they're going a different way. You're going in different directions. And there is a connection here, I think, between the two about you may be making decisions. It might be a hard decision to make. These people, I think, matter to you. So, and maybe what's happened is quite surprising. You didn't see this coming, because Fortuna is all about things that are unexpected. And I think you had a great deal of love and caring for the person or people involved. But it does look like that there is a shift happening because of a difference of perspective and a difference of direction. And what Athena is saying is to have the wisdom to know this sets you free in many ways, because we have the Eight of Wands, which is a very, very positive card. It's a card of freedom, action, energy. You may well find when this relationship shifts or relationships shift that they were holding you back in a way that you didn't even realize. That part of this energy is to free you up to really go towards your life purpose, because you're meant to be in happier relationships and ones that are more emotionally resonant. Over here in the change, there's a recognition of a different philosophy, a different approach, a different vision between people that's causing an issue, causing quite a bit of drama. Over here is the sense of the wisdom to find the people that there is an emotional resonance with and a capacity to celebrate. That brings the sun. So this very much has the feeling of a change around relationships of some form, pile 3, that is really a positive one in the end, even if it is a little bit hurtful, or it might be dramatic. It may even be that for you, it's not really that it's hurtful so much, it's just that it's just full of drama for some reason. But you are able to make the decisions. It's almost like the drama helps you make the decision and see what maybe you haven't been looking at and haven't been seeing. You've had the blindfold on about the fact that there's almost a separation that's been naturally happening, and then something dramatic happens to really bring it to the forefront. But Athena is saying this is a really good thing, that there is better connections awaiting you, but you need to clear that energy for that to happen. So I do think they're connected, and I do think it's about relationship, but I'm not thinking that it's always about romantic relationships. It could be for some. It could be, in fact, that the drama that does this for you, if it is a relationship you're in at the moment, or even a family scenario and you're still living with your family, for instance, there might be a romantic partner that comes into your world, and that causes all of this. Like, it's not necessarily something that your friends would approve of, or that you saw coming and it pulls you in a different direction. It could literally be someone who you have to move interstate to be with, for instance. You have to make that change and shed part of your life and move away from maybe a workplace or friends or something like that. That's a possibility with these cards as well. And you may be at least initially reluctant to make that decision, but this is definitely saying it's a great decision to make if that's the case. So for some of you, as I say, it could be a very beautiful thing that creates this, but it's dramatic. Whatever it is, it's dramatic. So given that, one of the oracles that I wanted to use was to look at what needs to be healed in you, the situation, or other people, to get the best from this advice and support from the goddesses who are with you at the moment. Pile 3. Okay, so I think for most of you this is going to be about a love relationship. As I say, I think for some it won't be, and your love is about family or about friends and people that you work with, because, as I say, the lovers isn't always that, and the Three of Wands can sometimes be friends. But this is about love in some way. I think for many of my pile 3, if you haven't already met the one, you might be about to, and I think it's going to have a major, major revolutionary effect on your life. And there is going to be drama around it for some reason, but it's a very well aspected thing. There's something alchemical about this. So we've got the sun there, and the sun, it's like the connection. There's sort of a moon energy as well, and this whole deck is about the moon. So it's interesting. We've got the sun there, and then we've got alchemy. Sun and moon together is an alchemical connection. So this is good, but for some reason, as I say, it causes a bit of a brouhaha. But I think you will have the wisdom to deal with it and understand the fortune of it and understand the value of it, because they definitely want to talk to you about love, what you love, who you love, where you are in your life to be able to accept that love. And it may be that these cards have come up because you haven't felt that before, or you haven't prioritized that before, but that's the missing piece for you. You've been very focused on friends, family, your career, whatever it is, and very much living in your head, but fortune requires you also to live in your heart. So let's use another oracle for a little bit more advice from the goddesses for you. And this is an oracle that could pick up astrology, it could pick up personality aspects, it could pick up broader energies. So we'll just see what else Athena and Fortuna want to tell you. Okay, this is an interesting group of cards. So the first card is prey. So I think that some of this drama may be that on a psychological level, I don't think you've literally been prey of anyone, and I don't think that the relationship is about prey. There's not a predatory sense around it. But I think that there is maybe a subtler predatory energy around you. I think that people probably see you as someone who should be there for them as friends or your family or your work. You're seen as someone that people almost feed off in a way. And it's maybe stopped you from having the love in your life because you've been dealing with everybody else's dramas and everybody, because of your wisdom, I think. People recognize your wisdom and they want to feed off that. So I think that these goddesses are saying that part of this is to release you, with the Eight of Wands under that card, release you from where you've existed more for other people rather than for yourself. And then that leads to a revival. So that's picking up again that Eight of Wands energy. You can revive who you are when you understand how much you've been sublimating your own emotional needs and nature for other people who aren't necessarily on the same path as you and aren't necessarily the right people to be around, to allow in an energy that is more connected to you and more beneficial to you. And then we have innocence. So I think part of this, what they're saying is, you know, with Fortuna and with Athena, you're very, very smart. Like Athena around you shows that you're very smart, but you've looked at life and people around you somewhat innocently. And I don't mean by that naively, just you care a lot about people, you presume that they do as well. And I think part of this energy is to show you that when something wonderful comes into your life, like possibly the one, the soul twin, the real relationship, and you need to make shifts in your attention and your energy towards that, you're going to see that some people thought of you as someone that was their personal property and always there at their beck and call. And there is going to be some drama around it, I think. But these goddesses are helping you through that to make sure that it works out well. So let's finish with just a bit of astrology energy, just as a final piece of advice from the goddesses for you in this scenario, pile 3. Okay, so for a start, we've got the 5th house over here. I'm jumping to that one first because it's all about love, romance, and it's again really confirming this is about love and relationships and so forth. There is a creative energy to the 5th house, but this feels much more like about a relationship and love and not so much about a creative outcome. The planet that rules it's the sun, so that connects to the sun there. So I think it's really confirming this is a very positive energy coming into your life. And it's the ruling sign is Leo. So you may be Leo, the person may be Leo, you might have Leo strongly in your chart, or it just might be that sort of standing up for yourself and standing in your light and being prepared to be the person who receives the love and receives the attention rather than always the one who's giving it. Then we have Libra here. Libra is about balance, it's about justice, so I think it's really just saying this is to bring balance into your life and to bring you what you deserve because you're so innately giving. So that's really important. And its celestial body is Venus, so again we're picking up love, we're picking up balance. It's really powerful, this. This is one of the more powerful readings I've seen in recent times around relationship. And then we have Earth, which is to ground it and to allow it to be. It could also be that you or the other person has earth signs significantly in your charts, Taurus, Virgo or Capricorn. But otherwise, I think it really just is about being able to be practical and ground this energy and bring it into being and have something for yourself. I just get this sense that these goddesses are with you because you've been so giving to other people for so long and people have taken that for granted, some of them, to be honest. Not everybody, but there will be people, and you will know when you finally have something for you and something for you is coming, then you're going to see that. You're going to be able to sort the wheat from the chaff, as they say. You'll understand where people are reciprocal with you and truly your friends, and they will celebrate with you, and where there's the sort of drama people over here who want the attention all the time. So I think that the fortune is actually very, very positive, but it will cause a stir. And I think Athena is there to make sure that you stay on course and you have the wisdom to not listen to the histrionics of people who don't like having less attention from you, or are maybe even jealous of you if they're on their own and they like other people to be on their own. So there's something like that. But I think it's very, very positive. And you may have already just met the person, but I think for many of you, because Fortuna is something unexpected, it's going to come out of the blue and it's coming soon. And own your own what would I say? Own your own belief that you should be loved too, that you're not just here to love. You're not just here in this world for other people. You are here for yourself. And your highest connection for another person that you're here with will be for someone that is loving you back. So own that, pile 3. Take the wisdom of Athena. See that this fortune is moving you towards something for your highest good. And accept that kind of love into your life that possibly in a way you haven't really done before. I wish you well. I think this is I have a wonderful feeling from this. And so I'm very, very happy for you, but I do think you'll go through a bit of drama with some people to get there. But stay the course, listen to the wisdom of Athena and find that love, because I think you very much deserve it. I hope that this resonated for you. I hope it's helpful information to help you as you move into this relationship. And I hope you enjoyed the reading, and if so, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And let me know in the comments if this resonates and how. I'd love to hear about that, and I'd particularly love to hear if you've met the one and you've gone through that and you've really committed to it. It'd be really lovely to know that that's the case. Other than that, I hope to see you in future readings.